Chandler High School, Coolidge, Mesquite, Brophy, Verrado, just a few high schools across the valley with one thing in common. Over the last few years, they made a head coaching change. Another similarity, the newly hired head coach was white. I took a deeper look at how and why certain coaches aren't being hired. Out of the 16 football teams in the 2018 6A playoffs, not a single one had an African-American head coach. With districts and administrations responsible for the hiring process, Scott Brooks, director of research at Arizona State's Global Sport Institute, says the issue of coach diversity goes far beyond winning and losing.
Let's focus and let's do it.
All coaches of color are primarily defensive, and that goes back historically to ideas and theories around stacking, where you have players are stacked into positions based upon race and ethnicity.
Now, Brooks said historically players of color have been pushed to outside positions that reflect more athleticism, whereas white players are brought to the positions that require more critical thinking, such as quarterback, center, and middle linebacker. But when it comes time to hang up the cleats and start coaching, well, it's the players who were once credited as being thinkers that become head coaches.
Skyline on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Skyline! Skyline head coach George Hawthorne is one former non-quarterback who did manage to get hired, and his only request is equality.
I just want equal ground. So when I go interview, I want to interview on equal ground. I don't want to interview on higher ground. I don't want to interview on lower ground. I want to interview on equal ground. I want George Hawthorne to speak for George Hawthorne.
And when Hawthorne does speak for himself, he wants it to be about more than his playing experience.
I really believe that the game has a lot to offer. And it's not about the score on Friday night. It's not about the touchdowns that a kid may score. It's about the life lessons that a kid gets from this game.
So what's the solution to systemic racism on the field? Well, David Hines, the executive director of the Arizona Interscholastic Association, outlined the issue.
As I look around the state, we tend to be more Caucasian in some of these positions, whether it's at the superintendency level, principal level, athletic director level, coaches.
And Brooks has the possible solution.
I think you have to have more athletic directors of color. You have to have more women and women of color in these positions in sports. So we've got to create more and more openings.